Welcome to the Transfer Exchange Show. And what a week it has been. It's been non-stop. And as the title says, the domino effect has begun. Grealish, Kane, Lukaku. I mean, the transfers in this summer are going to be absolutely mouth-watering. They were worried that COVID was going to be a problem, but it's not been the case. It feels like they're going to give the fans the treat that they deserve. They're going to get back into the stadium. They're going to be some bright, shiny new players in the team. Some have been there before, but it doesn't matter. If Chelsea can pull through with this Romelu Lukaku signing, they won't care that he was the Romelu Lukaku that they had previously. This guy is world class. But before we get on to that, nice to have you back, Steve. Welcome back, Steve K.
Nice to be here, Kieran. Really kicking in now.
No, it is. It's gone absolutely mental, isn't it?
Yep, clubs flexing their muscles. I must admit, can't wait for the seasons to start now. See these players, but it's not over yet. There's plenty more signings to come, and we'll be there, and we will have it for you first, like you know.
Yeah. All right, let's get started. And I want to start with one which just absolutely came out of the blues, swiped me off my feet as I was shopping, listening to TalkSport. Danny Ings has completed a £30 million deal to sign for Aston Villa. One of many signings Aston Villa will be making to make up for the loss of Jack Grealish. And they seem to be doing it with like, they're not just... I remember previously when Tottenham lost Gareth Bale and they brought in 10 players. And the only players that kind of came through and were positive in the end were Christian Eriksen and Dembele. But the other signings that were there at the time to make up for the loss of Gareth Bale were the likes of Soldado, Eric Lamela, Paulinho, and the list goes on. It was pretty bad. But Aston Villa seem to be getting in players they know, tried and tested in the Premier League. And Aston Villa, I'm going to be honest, people, Aston Villa was the club I first supported as a kid until I realised that they were in Birmingham. Daniel Atkinson and Dean Saunders, they took my eye. I can't lie. FA Cup games, Ian Taylor. Oh, I used to love them. And then it was like, my dad was like, you can't support Aston Villa. Charlton, and then I fell in love with Arsenal. But Danny Ings for Aston Villa is a big signing, surely.
I think it's an absolutely fantastic signing. I think look, Aston Villa mean business. Mm-hmm. They are really they're spending the Jack Grealish money. Whether that we go back to when they was offering and. They said, look, we want Emil Smith-Rowe. They went for him. Arsenal obviously stuck to their guns. They was never going to sell Emil Smith-Rowe. But since then, I mean, they've flexed their muscles just as the big boys are. Mm-hmm. They've gone in and smashed and got Bundia. We don't know if Arsenal was after him, but they got him anyway. Bailey was wanted by some of the top clubs in European football. Really excited to see him next season. And now Danny Ings, top striker in my eyes. We was talking a few weeks ago on, where would he go? And Aston Villa were one of the clubs that we said he could go to. We said an Aston Villa. We said an Everton. He's ended up at Villa. How that will work with Ollie Watkins, I'm not too sure. But look, they're building a fantastic squad there, and also in the last couple of hours they've brought in Manchester United's Alex Tenzubi on loan for a year, so he will slot in there right next to Tyrone Mings. They mean business. I mean, and you're looking at clubs like Leicester. I mean, looking at their squad, they can compete. They can compete, and they could be the shocks of the Premier League next season.
Yeah. Aston Villa really making really making moves and putting a dent in that £100 million that they've got from Manchester City already. Other players they're after, Aston Villa put in a bid for Norwich midfielder Todd Cantwell after Jack Grealish's transfer to Man City is finalised. That's one that it was mooted about straight after the Emil Smith Rowe bid was rejected and he signed a new deal. Another player that was also rejected was a £25 million move for England international and Southampton captain James Ward-Prowse. The calibre of player that they're going after, as I said, tried and tested, and they're the players that it's almost like these players, their next move is the big club. Yeah, that's what it is. It's Danny Ings was picked up by Liverpool when he was younger. He had a lot of injuries. Highly regarded when he was bought from Burnley. England under 21s and youth international. Very, very, very highly rated Danny Ings. And he went to Southampton, and it was always felt that the next move for Danny Ings was a big move for a big club. Same with James Ward-Prowse. Top player. He just needs that next move to maybe even cement his place in the England squad, to classify himself as a top draw player, to sort of make that leap, to test himself. And they're going for that sort of player as well. These players have also been linked to big clubs previously. James Ward-Prowse, Manchester United. Emi Buendia was linked to Arsenal. Aston Villa are going to be a serious team next year, surely.
Yeah. Serious side. If they was ended up 5th and 4th with 5 games to go to the end of the season, knocking on that Champions League door, I wouldn't be surprised at the moment. You've got to look at the players in their squad, and look. I tell you what, you've already mentioned Todd Cantwell. They ain't stopped. They ain't stopped buying, and I'm hearing from my Aston Villa source that Cantwell won't be the last one you're going to hear. By the end of this window, they will be going in for more. They're strengthening that squad, and what they're doing, they've strengthened. I mean, look, what they've done already. They've made. I mean, Aston Villa, over the last few years, always been on that edge of relegation. Sometimes we're lucky to stay up a few years ago. Look, with these signings that they've made this window, that's it. They're done. They're going to be like a regular Premiership side and install themselves in that, going for Europe every season now. With these signings, with that got Todd Cantwell, it's an interesting one. Norwich, they're aware of that there will be a bid coming in. What I'm hearing is that the bid's going to be around 40 million. Personally, I think that's a bit too much. But I don't know. What do you think? I just think it's a bit too much for Todd Cantwell.
Yeah, it is. But this is a team. We're in this situation. And I'll get on this a bit later because there's been a lot of talk about certain clubs ruining football. But yeah, as I said, we'll get onto that a bit later. I do think it's a little bit much for Todd Cantwell, but I don't think it's silly amounts too much. It's a bit like Danny Ings. Danny Ings has 1 year left on his current deal at Southampton. It's been made clear that Danny Ings was not signing a new deal at Southampton. Otherwise, he would have signed that already. Ralph Hasenhuttl has spoken previously about trying to tie down Danny Ings. They're not going to try and break the club's wage structure to sign Danny Ings. And this was last year. So nothing has been signed.
And they did, didn't they? They won it. They last minute, literally days ago. They offered Danny Ings with a new contract on top of the one that he's already turned down. That would have made him the most, highest paid player and richest player in Southampton's history.
But he hasn't signed it. Exactly. So he's got 1 year left in his deal. So they know he's going. But Aston Villa have gone, there you go. Probably could have got him for 25, there's 30. Sweet, quick deal done. No nonsense. And that's what they want to do. And I don't blame them for that. They probably already had their transfer budget. Now they've got an extra 100 million on top of that. So they've not got to worry about this odd 2, 3, 4, 5 million, which stalls and stops deals happening. Like we've seen it. We've been in a situation ourselves as clubs we support. We've seen other people. Tottenham could have had Jack Grealish in their squad already if they would have paid that extra 5 million a few years ago. And this is those little things stop deals and you look back and they're mistakes. They're big mistakes. So I do agree it's too much, but I don't think it's too much.
I mean, we're talking mistakes, and you're looking at the goalkeeper Martinez. I mean, what a massive mistake, but what a great move for Emi Martinez in the end. 20 million. I've heard today that the reason why Martinez actually went to Villa was because that he was the player that they would get more money for than what they would see if they sold Leno. I mean, personally, I think that's a terrible way to do business. It doesn't exactly.
No,
I've heard that today.
No,
yeah.
I don't know. Stop. I don't. Can we take that back? Press rewind. Can we press rewind on that? I don't want to hear that.
I've heard that today.
I don't want to hear that.
A very, very, very good source, and I ain't going to bring it out on here, only to be made look like a wally afterwards. So that's why I'm careful about what I'm saying. But I've heard from a very good source. It was because the question was asked, why did Arsenal sell Martinez to Aston Villa? Because it seems an absolute ridiculous decision, because at this moment in time, again, heard recently before I come on tonight, Arsenal are heavily into going to buy Aaron Ramsdale. They want Aaron Ramsdale. They're bidding 32 million for Aaron Ramsdale, and from the sources that are coming out from that we talk to is that he is the man that Arteta wants. And now when you look back, taking our glasses off, our red and white glasses, because when you watch this show, we certainly on biased people when we talk, is that the rumours have came out that the reason why they sold him was because they needed to fund more. They needed to sell him because they would get more money for him to fund for other players.
My stream hasn't stopped, people. I'm just stunned and disgusted with this club. I cannot take it. Forget about the better player. There's a lot of people. Bernardo's a very good goalkeeper, and he has a lot of fans at Arsenal. But I support Arsenal Football Club, and I'm looking at who's best for the team. And I don't care if the keeper that you got in at the time has won 2 trophies with you and has solidified that defence like you've not seen in a good few years. Why change him? Why not give him the reassurances that he will start the season? That's all they had to say. That's all they had to say was, you will be starting the season. But they didn't want that. Emily Rendier wanted to move, and Arsenal wanted the money.
They just thought, we've got a goalkeeper in Bernardo, and he's all right. He may not be as good as Martinez, but if we said Martinez will get 5 million more, 2 million more, 3 million more. And now, as I said, they want Aaron Ramsdale.
And now they've got to go and spend 32 on a keeper that's been relegated 2 seasons on the trot. And there's nothing against Aaron Ramsdale, but
he's a decent keeper.
He's a decent keeper, but
he's not as good as Martinez.
that's some brilliant business. That is some top draw business there, Arsenal. Well done. All right, back on to the story of the day. Aston Villa. We posted on the 27th of July that Manchester City were moving ahead in a deal to bring England international midfielder Jack Grealish. It was in advanced stages. Villa fans lost their heads. Understandable, Villa fans. Understandable. Is your talisman? Is your main man? Is your footballing genius? Is your hero? But we were correct. The deal, Man City started off the bidding at around 80 million, and they've agreed on a price at 100 million. All you've got to look at is the fact that at the time they were going for Leon Bailey. Also, they were going for Emil Smith-Rowe at the time. Leon Bailey will be completing his move to Aston Villa next week in a £30 million move for Leverkusen. Another top signing there for Aston Villa. And as you said earlier, Manchester United defender Axel Tuanzebe has signed a new deal from Man United, and he will be joining Aston Villa on loan for the season. So as we said there, Aston Villa seriously making moves in this transfer market to compensate for the loss of Jack Grealish. Next up, Tottenham have stepped up their interest in Sampdoria and Denmark midfielder Mikkel Damsgaard. But the president, Massimo Ferreira, has made it clear that he wants Damsgaard to join Roma, and we're expecting talks to open with Gielrossi this summer.
Not much more to add to that. It's good. He's a good player, and I can see why Spurs want him.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got, maybe they're looking, maybe they're doing the same thing as what Villa are doing. You know, they're sort of thinking about what, you know, Harry Kane's more or less, you know, he's gone and that he wants to go. I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about that in a minute. But he's a good player. But going to Spurs, it looks like they may have to look somewhere else.
Yeah. And we'll go to Harry Kane now. Harry Kane's failed to turn up for training. Well, you can't say 3 times this week. It was twice this week. He wasn't there today because some brilliant PR spin from Tottenham and his team of people that basically essentially said that he's in Florida. Levy knows all about it, and he's isolating so that quarantine issues. I love that.
So he won't be at training tomorrow then,
I love that. So he's not going to be at training today. He won't be at training tomorrow and probably for the rest of the week, but he will be making his slow, tail in between the legs, walk back into the Tottenham training ground sometime very soon. But after that, Steve, are we fully expecting City to ramp up their interest in Harry Kane and pull through with this bid?
Yeah, and you say he'll be walking with his tail. I think Harry Kane will be marching with a very stern face into Daniel Levy's office, whether it's the weekend or on Monday, because I don't think from what I'm hearing, Harry Kane is not a very happy bunny at this amount of time. We had this thing a little while ago with a player, Laurent Koscielny, where he was told he could leave. I'm one of these people that it stinks of the fact that he's been told he can leave, and he's had a gentleman's handshake with just like Koscielny did, and he's obviously one of these people like myself actually, who's when people give me their word or I give them my word, I expect them to stick by it. But as far as Man City, I think they can go. I've heard that they will go as far as 130 million. The bid at the moment is 75 million, and they've offered players to Tottenham. Those players I've just found out just before we've come on again tonight. One we already know, which is Bernardo Silva. We mentioned last week.
Wants to go to Spain,
but he wants to go to Spain. The other one is Laporte, who's quite happy to leave. All these players are happy to leave. Laporte going to Spurs, maybe a little bit more. You know, can see that happening. And the other one is Gabriel Jesus, who I was told by one of our friends before we came on tonight that he could be part of the deal that could sweeten Spurs up. But I think 75 million, I think they're going to have to go a little bit higher than that. And I don't think Daniel Levy is too worried about the players. I think he just wants the cash. Yeah,
I think if you're going to try and take a player like Harry Kane from Tottenham, unless it's a player that Tottenham wanted in the first place, I don't think you're going to be able to sweeten a deal with a player that is just there you go, because I mean, Tottenham are already making moves for the players that they want in. If they're going to get if they're going to sell Harry Kane, they're going to want to get a replacement for Harry Kane. So, unless is no matter how good Gabriel Jesus is he the guy that takes over from Harry Kane? I think that's more of a consolation prize to Harry Kane. I think in my eyes, if you're going to get a replacement for Harry Kane, you got to get a player who's essentially like for like, which there isn't many out there, but I think we spoke about it a couple of weeks ago. Raul Jimenez for me would be a great replacement for Harry Kane.
Yeah,
A Patrick Schick would be someone who I'd like to see in if I was a Tottenham fan. I wouldn't mind seeing him in. And maybe next to someone like a Gabriel Jesus or even a Danny Ings or something like that. But I think this may be a case you're going to have to get a 2 for the price of 1 here for Harry Kane.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to be able to just.
Dušan Vlahović is a good shout if they can get him. He's a very good player. He will cost 50, 60 million. You know, he's 21 years old. I know that the sporting director, the new sporting director of Tottenham Hotspurs, I know that they've had words with the Sampdoria owners. So or Fiorentina, one of the two. Fiorentina, yeah. So he's going to be a wanted player, and I can see him leaving. The other team that's been interested in Vlahović is Inter Milan. They've been putting their feelers out there for him, and obviously that makes a lot of sense due to what's happened in the last hour or so with the news of Romelu Lukaku. So Spurs just got to spend this money right. I think Spurs now just got to they've just got to hold their hands up and say, look, Harry, you've done great for us. You deserve your move. And you've just got to let him go. He's 28 years old. I can't see Harry Kane ever playing for Spurs again. If he stayed this season, then he'll be 29. And, look, no disrespect to Spurs fans, but they're not going to win nothing next season either. So, and the type of signings that are being brought in are not going to, keep Harry Kane.
Yeah, definitely. Manchester United have agreed personal terms with Borussia Dortmund, and Norway forward Galactico superstar Erling Haaland. They want to bring in the forward next season. They've agreed a £78 million fee to break his release clause. The forward wants to link up with former teammate Jadon Sancho and boss Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, was his former boss in Norway. Haaland will take over from Edinson Cavani, who has a year left on his current deal. He signed an extension at the end of last season, and which will see Jadon Sancho take the number 7 shirt. I mean, this doesn't mean the deal is complete, people. It doesn't mean it's a done deal. No. Chelsea, they want Lukaku. I was going to and fro. People, it's actually a good discussion. It weren't no arguments yesterday, but it was a good discussion about with Chelsea fans still holding on to the hope of bringing in Haaland. However, you've got to think that Chelsea cannot wait a season to bring in Haaland, and Dortmund just aren't selling unless it's going to be for a crazy price. So Man United seem to be setting their stall out early and trying to. It's a good way of persuading the player by having him sort of know that there's that move in the background that's there ready to go, and that he can just concentrate on his football this season and not have to worry about any of this hoo-ha next season. But yeah, that'd be a top deal if Man United could pull that off.
Yeah. We was told this a couple of days ago, and it was so precisely put by our source. You know, I couldn't wait to get it up onto the page. Erling Haaland, it's for me. It's looking a dead cert for Manchester United. It's just looking, we're looking at Chelsea this season. They're going in for Lukaku. A bid's just got in as we've been on air tonight, as we're talking for Romelu Lukaku. So hopefully Romelu Lukaku will get his wish and he'll be a Chelsea player by the end of the weekend, or maybe on the Monday. But City, they want Kane, and that just leaves the open door for Haaland at the end of the season when his contract finishes to go for 78 million, and when Cavani leave, and it just slips in, and everything fits for Haaland to be playing for Manchester United next season. And his release clause is 78, and Dortmund have accepted that 78. And look, personal terms are never ever a problem with the top clubs. You know, that they're just givens. You know, they can pay as much wages as they probably can. Yeah, look, I mean, Erling Haaland be incredible. I mean, I can't wait, you know, to see him in the Premiership. But look, we didn't put up that he actually signed. It's, you know, personal terms are agreed. Dortmund have agreed that if no one comes in higher than 78 million, then Haaland can go to Manchester United. But look, what Dortmund will want, they will want a bidding war next summer for Erling Haaland, for someone to come in for 85 and then 90 and maybe higher. He's one of these players that can do that.
Yeah, definitely, and it lines all up as well because Real Madrid, they want Mbappe, Martinez will probably end up going to Barcelona. That fits. So it's like it's like sharing the wealth. One Galactico for each team. As we said, there's one thing that someone said yesterday. Why are you writing off Chelsea signing Haaland as well? Come on.
They're not buying both.
Please. Chelsea aren't buying Haaland and Lukaku. Like, come on, people. Like, take a step back. Take a breather. Look at yourself in the mirror and say that to yourself. And then give yourself a slap. Because that's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen, people. Like, come on. And if it does, I will do that. All right? Like, just think before you speak on these things. All right? Atletico Madrid right back Kieran Trippier has moved a step closer to moving to Manchester United. The Spanish club have reportedly made a bid for River Plate's Gonzalo Montiel. Also, it's looking like Diego Dalot is unlikely to be a part of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's plans next season. He's just not rated by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, is he, Dalot? No. There's a few Man United fans actually like him as well, and I think he had a good stint at AC Milan. But I don't think they could afford to make a deal permanent, could they? So I just don't understand it. But yeah, I mean, I would have thought it'd be good backup, but no, it's just not part of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's plans apparently.
Just to interrupt people, I'm just hearing the phone just clicked, and I've heard that Madison bid has gone in. I'll need to check this out because I haven't got the bits and pieces here. I'm hearing a Madison bid's been submitted by Arsenal, but I need to check that. So don't take me for 100% for that. Maybe you can check that. But anyway, we can carry on. But,
put out the feelers, and then we're getting on to Arsenal next. So just currently Man United, but yeah, we're Madison bid gone in. We're looking to that now. David De Gea is back. And he's staying at Manchester United, and he will start in goal against Leeds in the first game of the season. So David De Gea is back, and he's going to be Manchester United #1 next season. For me, it makes sense. I was speaking to a Man United fan yesterday, and he said himself he cannot believe how David De Gea has had one off season essentially. Head may have gone a couple the season previous to that because his head may have been turned by Real Madrid, which is understandable, being Spanish, and he's grown up in that area. However, he's also saved Man United a couple of times for a couple of seasons, being the player of the season, and he's been one of Man United's main players. He's won the league with Man United. He's been their saviour at times, and it seems like they've turned on him too quickly once things have gone wrong. Which I completely agree. I think David De Gea is a class act. I think he's a top keeper, and he's that keeper that when he is in form and confident, there's no one that can touch him. He just can't score past.
He's world class on his day. He's had a couple of below seasons by David De Gea standards. But if Man United, I mean, look, Henderson, he won't be back. Might be something. He's got COVID at the moment, isn't he, Henderson? So he's going to miss the first month of the season anyway. So it's a fantastic chance for De Gea to cement that place and make sure that #1's is, which really, I mean, it's you look at the two keepers on their day. It really is. Do you know what I mean? De Gea and Henderson. I mean, I don't mean to. Henderson's a good keeper, but I don't think he's in De Gea's class. And I think De Gea class is that title-winning goalkeeper on his day. When I don't think Henderson is.
Yeah. I completely agree. I mean, I've had this conversation with many people. Henderson's a very good goalkeeper. Could he be top draw in the future? Yeah, he can. Of course he can, but he's not that now. And I don't think Man United are in a position to have a goalkeeper, especially that is growing with the team, and they need a now player. They're not in any place to have a goalkeeper that's going to be there. Is going to make the odd mistake, and because he's learning, they need someone who's been there, done it. On to Arsenal. Crystal Palace want to bring in Arsenal forward Reece Nelson on loan next season. Arsenal will allow at least Reece Nelson to leave to get game time, as he will have limited opportunities next season. There was also rumours that that Arsenal had offered Reece Nelson, Joe Willock, who else? Ainsley Maitland-Niles to Leicester as part of the James Maddison deal. Also, Eddie Nketiah was on offer. However, Leicester are said to want money and not players in that situation. Granit Xhaka signed a new deal, and he'll be at Arsenal until 2025 with an increased salary. The deal was completed after the collapse of the transfer to Roma because they could not sort out a transfer fee. Arsenal wanted 20 million. Roma were willing to offer 12. And I'm sorry, I don't care what people think of Granit Xhaka. Geezer had an excellent tournament. He had I personally think he had a good season last season. I think people were just blinkered by the fact that they had their own preconceptions. Yeah, well, not even just that, but preconceptions of what he was previously, and it's just they're not willing to even look at how the guys played. And I think he was very good last season.
He was excellent.
And to hear people say, like, not even Arsenal fans come up to me and say, "Oh, you must be well annoyed that Granit Xhaka's put in the performance against France like that, and he's not done it at Arsenal." You've not watched him because he done that against Chelsea and scored. So it's just nonsense. Look, we've said it before. Is Granit Xhaka the best central midfielder in the world? No, but we've never said that. But the stick that the guy gets when he's playing well is just nonsense. And he signed a new deal, so I don't want to hear no nonsense about just selling for 12 million, just selling for whatever. It's absolute garbage. Because those same people would be complaining about the fact that we've done bad business and we're not running the club properly. So they're just venting, and it's no win, absolutely no win in that situation.
I've always liked Granit Xhaka. I've always seen what he gives Arsenal. We had people like Arsenal had like Gilberto Silva, Jorginho, players like this who get slagged off and ripped to pieces. And I'm sorry, I don't mean, but you Chelsea fan, you're slagging Jorginho off, and you're saying wrong with your head. You can't, but he does. He gets absolutely slaughtered. And there's many. Henderson at Liverpool when he first came. Everyone hated him. Oh, Henderson's useless. What's he doing here? Crap. But, the guy's come on, and now everyone thinks he's the best thing since sliced bread. But
it's just the same. It's just the same. It's the same. It's the same. It's Henderson.
But what people like, they ain't changed. You just, some people can look and see what a player is, and others can't. And some people can look and change and say, I was wrong, and admit it, and then that which is great. But others just can't. Others just continuous to look for that. I mean, when Jorginho come back to Chelsea next season, they'll be looking for that one loose pass in 90 minutes. So at the end of the game, they can all slag off Jorginho. And that's just football fans, and there's a difference. That's why the two words are used, fans and supporters. They mean two completely different things. When you I support Arsenal Football Club, which means I support them no matter what, and I support the players, and I look whether they play bad, whether they play good. A fan is someone who just is a fan and supports them when they do bad. They don't like them no more. And they're going to be a fan saying else. You know, oh, I'm a fan of him this week. I'm a fan of that player. You know, I'm an Arsenal. You know, you support a club. That's what you want to do. You support your players. But Granit Xhaka, you know, I see that he brings a lot to Arsenal that we haven't got. You know, he's got balls. He gets stuck in. He sticks up, and probably apart from Kieran Tierney, we haven't got really no one else that does that. So yeah, I'm glad he's staying.
Yep. I've got no issues with Granit Xhaka staying. So I'm just looking in now. James Madison. Yeah, there's a lot of talk about James Madison online at the moment. Just thought I'd have a little quick look through. Some saying that I think it's the Sun are saying that Arsenal have offered Maitland-Niles, Willock, and Nelson as part of the Madison deal. That has been turned down anyway. We heard that previously. I heard that earlier that had been turned down, and that that Leicester City want money, not interested in players as part of the deal. Have you heard any more on the James Madison deal, Steve?
No, I just got my phone next to me. I just see something come out the corner of my eye, and I couldn't actually see what it was. I just see Madison submitted in the name of a few players. So it could have been this morning, for I know. I haven't had time to look into it. But as far as James Madison goes, it's what the facts about James Madison at the moment. The facts are James Madison will be 60-70 million pound if he goes. Arsenal will have to find that 60-70 million pound. Arsenal fans, can you see Leicester accepting players like Nelson, Willock, Nketiah, and come on, Leicester ain't gonna, they're not. Unfortunately, to say Leicester are a little bit above that type of player. Then they're not going to take Arsenal's, not cast-offs, it's the wrong word to use, but players that Arsenal just don't need. They're a good side, Leicester. And the only other thing we got, that Brendan Rodgers has come out after the friendly yesterday and said he's spoken to the bosses, and as far as he knows, there's been no bid been put in. As far as everybody's saying that there is. Brendan Rodgers is saying that as far as he knows, there isn't. But we've heard that. We have heard that before. And as far as he's not any of his first team players are for sale, and not any of his first team players want to leave. Now, James Madison, personally, I like James Madison, but I don't think he's worth 60-70 million.
I don't think James Madison's worth 70 million. And what's also just absolutely stunned me by a lot of just people in general is their opinions. Opinions can be wrong, people. And when you're trying to tell me that Philippe Coutinho is not a better player than James Madison, we just can't have this conversation. And not only better player, better value as well. Look, we're talking about how much is Philippe Coutinho currently going for? They're offering him for about 20 mil, aren't they? How much are they offering Philippe Coutinho for? It's dirt cheap.
30 was the last. 30
mil.
Player. But
by the end of that trade,
you will get people say, yeah, but he's better because he's 70 and he's 30.
Nah.
Like that, people.
Nah. I'm not even going to compensate with people that are using that logic as anything.
Like that.
I'm not even. I can't. This conversation stops now. I can't have. No. I'm not. That's a dumb conversation. No. But these people, will be talking about the fact that. So they will say, well, Philippe Coutinho ain't getting in the Barcelona team. Couldn't even get a game at Bayern Munich. It's Barcelona and Bayern Munich. Like seriously. Oh, he's over the hill. he's like 28. Like it's this dumb argument. 70 million, 30 million. Like 2 Philip Coutinho's, 1 James Morrison. Like James Madison, sorry. Like no.
James Madison James Madison's done well for Leicester. We're not taking that away from him. He's a decent player.
Very good player.
But he hasn't done what Coutinho's done.
I'm sorry.
You know, he hasn't played for the teams that Coutinho has played. He hasn't won the things that Coutinho has won.
Leicester will sell James Madison and buy Coutinho. That's what they'd do. They go and sell James Madison to Arsenal for 70 and then say, all right, we'll take Coutinho and our team's a better team. Like, James Madison is a very, very good player, but I don't know where all this hype for James Madison has come from out of nowhere.
No, I don't.
I don't get it. I don't get it. Like, he's a very good player. But
as an Arsenal fan, if Arsenal pays 60 million for James Madison, I won't turn on like sometimes when you turn on, you go, yes. I won't feel like that with it. It won't be one of them signings where I'll be like, because I won't be sure, because, you know, first thing as soon as James Madison like came that we was after, straight away I think, where's he going to play? You know, I was thinking about Emil Smith-Rowe. You know, I mean, Martin Odegaard's 40 million. I mean, that would be a better deal for me.
But Steve, when we talk about Martin Odegaard, could potentially Arsenal are still after Martin Odegaard. 50 million is what Real Madrid want. Yeah, like 50 million is too much. 50 million is too much. 50 million is too. I'm just like, Well, first of all, Real Madrid need money. Martin Odegaard don't want to be there. So let's forget about the 50 million. Let's just say 50 million is what they want, and Arsenal can go in and say 30. And they say, no, 45. And Arsenal go 35. And they go, no, 40. And Arsenal say, all right, 38 plus 2 million if we come top 4. Like, that's what you do. So it's not, yes, Real Madrid want 50 million, but are they ever going to get that? No, they're not, especially when the player wants to leave and the main club that he wants to go to is Arsenal. And that's the bargaining tool you have. That's what happened with Varane. Real Madrid wanted to sign Varane up on a new deal. He didn't want to sign. Man United was the club that Varane wanted to go to. So Real Madrid were powerless to try and get a silly amount of money for him. So when people try and compare, Arsenal spent 50 million on Ben White, Man United spent 38 on Varane. What kind of deal is that for Arsenal? It doesn't work like that. Arsenal shopping in a different supermarket. Weirdly, it's a more expensive one. But Man United is exclusive, and they have the pulling power, and Arsenal don't. And the fact that Arsenal paid 50 million, it's also probably because Ben White didn't feel the need to put in a transfer request. Whereas Varane, he weren't signing a new deal, and his only club that he wanted to go to was United. People think about these things. That's how it works. A lot of
the talk of Arsenal is that they're using their heads with their transfer dealings. Personally, I don't see that, because I see quite a lot of flaws still in the way that they're doing their transfer business. Mm-hmm. I agree that they've bought Ben White for 50 million, and I'm pleased with that because I can see White and Gabriel, forming a decent partnership. But we're looking at, a midfield in playmaker in Madison, when if money is tight, he ain't what we need. That's not. It's not. It's not. That's not our first. If anything, if I'm a manager, if this is me, I would be I'd be going for a right back. Maybe a goal, maybe a goalkeeper, and I'd get in a decent forward so that Lacazette and Aubameyang can buck their ideas up, and if they don't want to go or leave, bring in a Jimenez or something and buy him. And, or Ings, we should have gone for Ings. And Ings, 25 million just come through.
That's 25.
Plus 5 million add-ons. It is 30. She was right. But, it's there's still flaws in their transfer things. But James Maddison, look, good player, but if Arsenal pay 70 million from a fan's point of view, if Arsenal pay 70 million for James Maddison and he comes in, I won't be happy. Because...
Yeah, and it's not about the player, I think, is what you're saying. It's about the price tag. And if you're talking about Arsenal aren't doing deals because the money, they don't have the money here, they don't have the money there to push through these deals, then why are you spending 70 on one player? That's it doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me.
I can't see it happening. I just can't. It seems just
every year there seems to be a player which we're linked to, which is could potentially be just a PR stunt or to appease the fans. I don't want to think that is the case, but I've been around long enough to see these same things happen, and it does very much feel like this could just be a lot of hype with no real ending to it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Premier League side Tottenham and Serie A champions Inter Milan have made contact with representatives of Serbia and Fiorentina striker Dušan Vlahović. Inter see him as a replacement for Romelu Lukaku, who looks like he's going to Chelsea. So yeah, very much a deal that we will probably see happening. Posted that last night.
115 million bid going in or gone in for Romelu Lukaku. And
you're saying that'll be enough?
Well, it's up to now to obviously say no or yes. But Romelu Lukaku has told Inter Milan that he wants to leave and that he wants to go to Chelsea, and that would you basically be kind enough to accept the 115 million that's gone in or going in. It may have already gone in. Again, my phone's too small for me to see my eyes. But that's Romelu Lukaku wants to leave for Inter Milan. He's told Inter Milan bosses he wants to leave, and would he please take Chelsea's incoming offer, which may have already come in, of 115 million.
All right. We'll get that posted up as soon as possible because that's big news. We're going to be right on the track of the Inter Milan deal for Romelu Lukaku to take him to Chelsea, and also any replacement that Inter Milan are trying to get in as well, because we've got some brilliant contacts in Italy.
The domino effect, like you said, Kieran.
Yeah, and as we've seen in previous pods, Nima from Sempre Inter, who is a class act when it comes to journalism. We'll be definitely getting them on towards the end of the season with Carlo, hopefully, to try and do an Italian special, which will be the greatest Italian special you've seen on YouTube. One quick question before we do go, Steve. There's been a lot of talk, and this has to be quick. Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about, because I've been ranting in the car to myself. I know you saw me ranting on the way home yesterday from work while I was, after hearing something on Talk Sport, I went live on Instagram.
My wife come jumping over. She went, "It's Kieran, he's on a live on Instagram." She threw it in my face, and I see you go,
Yeah, no. There's been a lot of talk about Manchester City since their bids for Jack Grealish has gone in. A deal that's very much going to be complete very soon. And as we all know, Harry Kane is another player that Man City are after, and it looks like by the end of this transfer window, he will be going to Manchester City. That's a deal. Two deals would be worth in and around 200 to 220, 230 million. Do you see Man City ruining football?
Ruining football?
Yeah.
No, not at all. Why would they be ruining football?
Because this is what a lot of people are saying.
Would we not be jumping up in the air if it was our clubs buying Harry Kane or Jack Grealish? And why would two players ruin football? look, it takes them closer to probably winning the title next season because they're two fantastic players. But Man United have done the same, and Chelsea have done the same, and Aston
Real
Villa
Madrid
are spending, and Real Madrid, and isn't it like this every year, where the top clubs spend the most money, whether it's 250 million and they buy the two best players, or whether it's 100 million and they buy the best two players available. They're still the same players. They're still players. No. Not at all. I mean, look, good luck to them. I wish it was my club that was spending that money. I'm not going to be hypocritical, and yeah, I wish my club had them. I wish I had that. We had that money to spend on that type of players. So if I was to say anything different and say it's out of order and they're ruining football, I'd be hypocritical. But personally, I just can't wait to see Harry Kane and Jack Grealish in the same side for Man City next season. So,
I think 5 years ago I may have been saying a different thing, but since then, many people have had an argument, especially with our club, that football changed now. You need to keep up. You need to do this. You need to do that. And I just remember when Arsenal were getting raided every other season. Two players, Man City. Chelsea always coming in for Arsenal players or wanting Arsenal players, or Chelsea going out and buying the best players. Man United used to make a thing of buying the two best players in the league every season or every other season, or buying the two best up-and-coming players in Europe from these smaller teams. And it's just odd that all of a sudden there's so much venom going towards Man City when Chelsea done it. Chelsea are where they are now because they've done what Man City are doing, plus more. Like, let's not get this twisted, plus more. Manchester City now have broken records in English records, but for a team who's run by oil money and a country at that, they've been buying in players with a certain amount, but we're not talking about breaking records on any of these. Man United had Paul Pogba, who was breaking that record. Man United went out and bought 50 million on a right back from Crystal Palace, and that's 50 million from a centre midfielder from Sporting Lisbon. Like, I just don't understand why there's so much hatred towards Manchester City now all of a sudden, whereas previously Chelsea, like I said, are where they are now because they've done this. If Liverpool had won the league that last season, they would be doing what these other clubs are doing now, because they would be going for the likes of Mbappe. They will be going for the big names as well. I just don't understand why it's all geared towards Manchester City. So I feel like I'm going to have to do a pod on it.
They're just looking at the numbers. They're looking at that number. They're seeing that number, 250 mil, and that's all they're seeing. They've bought two players, two human beings, two footballers. You know, I remember Manchester United when they bought Van Persie from Arsenal, and they bought another really top player. I can't think who it was for a minute, but I don't know what it come to. I don't know what the money come to, but it was less than 100 million. You know, and then they all had a go at Man United for that. You know, whoever spends the most money
wins the league.
Is ruining, and it's happened since the end of time, at the beginning of the time. Sorry. If you in the 1900s, if you bought the best players from any part of the world, you won the league, or you win, and it's always been like that. Nothing's that. The only time we can say that is Leicester.
But let's not pretend that Leicester didn't have money to get where they were. Leicester didn't not come up to the Championship on a shoestring budget. They got a chairman after the Walker Stadium issue where they nearly went into administration and was saved by Gary Lineker, and there was a big downfall from that. But the chairman that they had before he passed away, sadly, was like a billionaire, like a serious wealthy man, seriously wealthy. And yes, they did it in a different way, but they also had a lot of money. Like, there's no club that I know. Yes, Leicester are an anomaly, and they won the league, which is outstanding. But there's no club that's out there that wins that league that hasn't spent big, that hasn't bought the best players around. Like, you've got to buy the best players I can't believe we're arguing this. You have to buy the best players to keep up or stay ahead. What's Man City be doing?
What Barcelona and Real Madrid been doing?
What are Man City meant to do? Yeah.
Barcelona have been... what did they pay for Neymar? Come on.
Yeah, look.
210 million, was it?
Exactly. Man City, have lost their all-time record goal scorer. Take that in. They've lost their all-time top goal scorer in Sergio Aguero. Yeah? How are they meant to replace him?
Is he worth 100 million on his day? His best, Aguero?
Yes, he is worth 100 million on his day.
Of course he is.
If Sergio Aguero was 5 years younger, 10 years younger, you'd be talking about a João Felix kind of fee.
Yeah.
So it's just absolute nonsense. It's absolute nonsense, and people just need to take a step back. Think, what are your I can't take it from Man United fans, Chelsea fans that are saying Manchester City are ruining football when they're not. When Man United did this, and people say they earned it, did they? Did they? Go back and do the history. No. Did they?
Yeah.
Did they? No, they didn't. And Chelsea didn't either. People have come in and spent big. The owners have spent big. And that's when people turned around. When Chelsea started doing it, and Man City came along and they said football's changed. Now all of a sudden, because COVID, what is it gone? Football not changed? Were Man United not trying to do a deal with Borussia Dortmund last year for Jadon Sancho for 100 million plus? Were they not? Yes, they were. So
when you think about Man City, last season they literally bought next to nothing, didn't they?
Yeah, exactly.
They didn't have it because they was told they didn't have the money. Do you remember? Because we had done shows on it, you know. And last season, Chelsea went crazy.
Yeah.
Chelsea went crazy with Bernardo, with Ziyech, with Havertz.
They spent 123 million last season, Steve. And all people will say is they spent the Havertz money, they spent this money, they spent that money, or they spent the Hazard money, sorry. But so what? So what? Like
it's the same thing you could say about Aguero's wages.
Yeah. Let's not forget about the players that Man City have sold over the last 2 seasons as well, which people seem to dismiss. They're not interested in that. They're not interested in looking where they've sold, who they've sold, and how much they've sold. Leroy Sané was part of that. Anguilla was part of that. Who else did they sell? They sold Jack Harrison's part of that.
Yeah.
Like Eric Garcia. These are only 10, 15 million, 20 million, but they all add up. They all add up.
Yeah, you had those players up that Chelsea bought last year. Those about 5 or 6 players. You add that onto the 115 million for Lukaku. That's more than what Man City have bought. So if it's a Chelsea fan that's going, you just shut up.
Yeah.
But just we'd all take it. That's the thing, wouldn't we? We'd all be jumping up in the air if it was us. So that's what that's what you got to think of. That's what people got to think of. Yeah. You know?
Yeah. So thanks for joining us tonight, Steve. A very good show.
Yeah, brilliant, mate. Look forward to the next one.
Yeah. And by then, hopefully, there'll be a lot more transfer dealings through some other clubs, some of the smaller clubs. And as we say all the time, as I said on my Instagram feed the other day, if you've got a club that we've not covered or we're not covering, I don't care what league it is. We've got links to non-league football teams. If you want to hear that Dave from the chip shop is got a trial with Dagenham and Redbridge.
What, Dave?
Yeah. If you want to hear that Dave from the fish and chip shop has got a trial with Dagenham and Redbridge, and he scored a hat-trick in his trial game, then we will let you know. But you just got to let us know, because there's so many teams out there, we can't cover them all. But if you tell us who you want us to cover, we'll find it. Steve, we've got to start looking for some Wigan transfers, because we've got a Wigan fan in there who's asking.
Every time, it don't matter what subject you're talking about, he said, any Wigan news.
Yeah, any Wigan. So I feel we have to go out and look for some Wigan transfer news before it hits the news, before it makes the news, so we can make him happy. But yeah, seriously, people, if you've got any transfers, if you've got any teams out there that we're not covering, hit us up. Please don't say Arsenal, because we cover Arsenal the most. Like for a channel that's not Arsenal transfer news, we cover Arsenal a lot. So when I put that question out and 15 of the responses are Arsenal, 1 West Ham, it's like, that's not what I was talking about, people. But thank you very much anyway. We appreciate your support.
One day before the transfer, and we could even do a questions and answers. So
we will.
There, if you want to whack your questions,
we'll do that live. Whack
them in the comments there. Whack your questions in the comments, and as Kieran just said, we've got people everywhere, and we'll be able to answer them.
Yeah. So thanks for joining us tonight, Steve. As I said, peace out, people. Stay safe.